A tray crashed down. Food went flying across the floor. E.J. Whitmore stood frozen. His crutch was ripped away from him, held up high like some prize. "Watch out, cripple," one bully said with a sneer. The crowd started laughing. Phones went up fast, red recording lights glowing like hungry little eyes. Another kid pushed him hard, juice spilling all over his shirt. The billionaire's kid can't even stand up straight. The chant started up, mean and steady. Fight, fight, fight. Some kids were laughing hard, others just watched quietly. At a far table, Amara Johnson put down her chopsticks, sitting quiet, staying calm, just watching everything. The bullies didn't see her getting up, not right away, and when she finally stood, nothing in that shiny cafeteria would ever be quite the same. This is Black Stories, where the hurt of hate gets told and justice always makes its voice heard. If you think schools should stand up for bravery, not cruelty, hit like on this video and stick around, because sometimes the quietest person in the whole room teaches the biggest lesson. Also, hit subscribe because we post more stories just like this one every single week. E.J. Whitmore knew what shame felt like, a shadow that just never went away. At 10 years old, he had already buried more pain than most grown-ups could ever handle. His mother, Clara, the gentle woman who tucked him in at night with stories about the stars, was gone forever. Cancer took her one quiet night, leaving behind just the echo of her very last words. "The stars don't care how fast you can walk, E.J. They shine for you no matter what." But E.J. didn't feel like any stars were shining for him. Not at Crestwood Academy anyway. He walked with an uneven step, each movement awkward because of the condition he was actually born with. Every hallway felt like walking through fire. Sneakers squeaked behind him, making fun of how he walked. Whispered mean names followed him around like sharp little arrows. Cripple Prince, Billionaire Baby, Does Daddy's Money Carry You Around Too? He hated that one the most, because while his dad had more money than anyone could even dream of, it couldn't fix the one single thing E.J. wanted more than anything else on earth: to just feel like a normal kid. Richard Whitmore, Billionaire CEO, tried his best to be a good father, but he talked in business deals and deadlines, not in bedtime stories. After Clara passed away, his love for E.J. got buried under work meetings, business flights, handshakes that seemed to matter way more than tucking his son in at night. He didn't mean to ignore his son like that, but being absent leaves deep wounds all the same. So E.J. just made himself smaller. He ate his lunch alone. He kept his eyes down on the ground. He carried his mother's words around like a shield, even when his whole body shook under the weight of their cruelty. And across town, another kid was carrying a completely different kind of pain. Amara Johnson was no stranger to people treating her like she didn't matter. Her father, Master Anthony Johnson, was once the absolute pride of their whole neighborhood, a decorated martial arts master. He believed the dojo wasn't just about kicks and punches at all. It was a safe place. In a neighborhood where kids fell into gangs before they even made it to high school, Anthony showed a completely different way. His message was really simple. Repeat it until it hummed deep in Amara's bones every single day. Never throw the first punch at anyone. Never fight just for your ego. Always protect the weak people. Amara was 10 years old when the heart attack came out of nowhere. One moment her father's laughter was echoing loud in the dojo. The very next moment, silence just swallowed it all up. Her mother, Yvonne, worked night shifts as a Thai red nurse, her back always aching from pulling double shifts. Bills kept piling up on the kitchen counter like enemies they just couldn't beat. Clothes came from thrift stores everywhere, shoes worn paper thin. But what Amara got from her dad wasn't money at all. It was her father's code of honor. She trained all alone in the cracked old dojo, bowing low to a ghost. Every stance, every single form, was a conversation with the man she had lost. But she didn't brag about it, didn't show off to anyone. She just blended right in at Crestwood Academy, just another charity case with a scholarship to her name. The whispers followed her around too. She doesn't belong here at all. Look at those cheap shoes. Charity girl through and through. Yet behind her quiet act was pure steel. Where E.J. made himself smaller, Amara just observed everything. Where he just endured the pain, she prepared herself. They were two kids from totally opposite worlds. One wrapped in wealth but starving for real love. the other dressed in thrift store clothes, but wearing discipline like armor. Both invisible in their very own way, both mocked for things they never even chose. And fate dropped them in the very same cafeteria. For EJ, every single day was about survival. For Amara, every single day was about restraint and control. Neither one asked to be tested like this, but life always tests the quiet ones first, because bullies always go looking for the weak, and what they didn't know at all was that neither EJ nor Amara was actually weak. One carried his mother's voice like a star guiding him straight through darkness. The other carried her father's code like fire burning in her veins. They were the kind of children the world overlooks completely until the day it just can't anymore. Crestwood Academy was polished to a shine that never seemed to dull. The halls gleamed just like glass, floors buffed until students could actually check their designer sneakers in their own reflection. Tesla doors hissed open smooth at drop-off every morning. Chioch. Off-4s carried monogrammed backpacks inside like they were actual crown jewels. Rolex watches flashed under the fluorescent lights everywhere. Everything in this place either whispered power or just shouted it out loud. For EJ, every single step down those halls was an echo chamber of judgment. The limp in his walk drew stares he pretended he couldn't see. The laughter he caught from behind wasn't jokes being shared. It was like sharp darts hitting him. Even here among kids born into the exact same wealth, he was different somehow. Not for what he had around him, for what he lacked deep inside. Watch out, cripple. Don't trip over yourself, Prince. He tried his best to ignore it all. Eyes stuck on the floor, shoulders pulled tight. His crutch tapped like a metronome beating time, each beat reminding him he didn't move like everyone else around him. And Amara, she didn't glide down those halls in expensive Gucci sneakers or fancy Balenciaga hoodies. She walked with thrift store jeans and shoes her mother found at a clearance rack somewhere, their soles worn paper thin. She carried the same backpack she'd had since middle school started, its zipper catching every single time she pulled it open. She ate the same lunch every single day without fail. Rice and beans or leftover noodles her mother packed in old Tupperware containers. And in a cafeteria where kids swiped cards loaded with unlimited funds for pizza, sushi, and sweet milkshakes, her meal was a spotlight shining down. "Smells like being broke," someone said with a sneer once. Phones recorded all the laughter that followed, but not her steady hand as she just kept eating, eyes never lifting up once. At Crestwood, wealth wasn't just currency you spent, it was armor you wore proudly. EJ had it all around him, but didn't wear it well. Amara didn't have it at all anywhere. Both walked completely unprotected in a kingdom built entirely on status, and bullies feed on exactly that. Jason Miller was the kind of king everyone knew. Crestwood crowned without anyone questioning him. Blonde hair slicked back perfectly, family's name carved into the gymnasium wall, sneakers that cost more than some parents' monthly rent. His laugh was loud because no one dared to silence it ever. His crew, Connor Hale and Bryce Turner, walked behind him like faithful shadows, each insult he spit out echoing like gospel truth. They didn't trip over cracks in the floor because the floor itself bent for them. They didn't eat in corners ever because the cafeteria bent around their table instead. Kids jockeying for a seat near their orbit every day. EJ, invisible until they decided to see him clearly. Amara, a target the second she stepped into their line of sight. The cafeteria was where the hierarchy drew actual blood. Phones angled at the ready, red recording lights flashing like hungry eyes watching. Cruelty wasn't just expected in here, it was content for social media. Students didn't ask, "Should I stop this right now?" They asked, "Will this go viral online?" It was a Friday afternoon, the room humming with end-of-week energy building up. Laughter bounced off polished walls everywhere. Trays clattered like cymbals crashing together. And then it happened just like that. Jason's shadow stretched over EJ's table slowly. His smirk was sharp as a knife, his eyes daring anyone. Connor cracked his knuckles loud. Bryce pulled out his phone, already recording everything. One shove, one toppled tray, juice spilling down EJ's shirt like a stain that wouldn't wash out ever. The cafeteria erupted, not in outrage at all, but in pure glee. Gasps turned into laughter fast. Cruel chants began to stir up, and in the far corner, Amara's chopsticks froze mid-air, her eyes locked on the scene unfolding. The battlefield was set up now. The shove came fast as lightning, sharp and mean, cruel without mercy. Jason's palm slammed into EJ's chest hard, sending him stumbling backward fast. High. His tray tilted over, crashing to the floor loud, milk bursting across the tiles in a white splash that dripped down his shirt like war paint streaking. The cafeteria roared out loud, not with outrage, with laughter instead. Phones tilted higher up, recording from every angle possible. The chant began in the back row, low at first, then louder fast. Fight, fight, fight. EJ's hands trembled as he reached for his crutch desperately, but Connor snatched it up first instead, waving it overhead like a trophy won. "Who wants it?" he jeered at everyone. The crowd howled with laughter. Some leaned over tables, eager for the show starting. Others hid nervous smiles, afraid to be next if they didn't laugh along. The cafeteria wasn't just a room anymore at all. It was an arena now. EJ's shoulders hunched over, his breath came short and sharp and fast. He wanted to disappear completely, to shrink into the floor below. And then Amara moved at last. She didn't rush forward, didn't shout anything. She rose from her corner table, every step deliberate and measured, her face unreadable. Chopstick still in her hand, gripped tight. She crossed the room like someone walking into the eye of a storm brewing. At first, no one noticed her moving at all. The phones were all pointed at EJ still, the billionaire's son, humiliated in front of his peers watching. But then Jason caught her in his peripheral vision clearly. His smirk widened across his face. "Well, well, look who it is now, the charity girl herself." Connor laughed out loud, waving the crutch higher up. "You his bodyguard now? You going to limp with him too?" The cafeteria erupted again with laughter. Laughter, cruel echoes bouncing around. But Amara didn't flinch at all. She bent down, not to confront Jason at all, but to pick up EJ's tray instead. She set it gently back on the table, then reached for his chair, writing it with kobu, lum, practiced hands. Her movements were slow, measured, controlled perfectly. EJ looked up at her, completely stunned. She didn't say a word to him, but her eyes locked on his, steady as stone. "You're not alone here," Jason sneered at her. "Oh, that's cute. What is this, a pity party now?" He stepped closer forward, close enough that his breath brushed her cheek. "Tell you what, let's see what you've got, charity girl." He shoved EJ again hard, harder this time. The boy stumbled, arms flailing out, but before he could fall down, Amara caught him steady. One hand braced on his shoulder, holding him steady. The cafeteria hushed suddenly. Jason laughed, mistaking the silence for fear in them. "You want to fight me?" He taunted loudly. "Come on, show us something good." His fist cocked back, knuckles white. Gasps rippled across the room, phones zoomed in closer. EJ's chest tightened up. "Amara," he whispered, panic in his voice clear. Jason swung his fist hard, but Amara wasn't there anymore. With one fluid sidestep, graceful as water, she let his fist cut through empty air instead. His momentum betrayed him completely, sending him stumbling forward hard. And with a gentle redirection, just a pivot of her hips, a touch of her hand, Jason slammed into the table with a crash that shook the cafeteria hard. Gasps erupted everywhere. Some screamed, others cursed out loud. Phones shook in hands suddenly unsteady. Connor's face twisted up. Fury replaced laughter completely. He charged forward, his bulk a wall of muscle, swinging his leg in a sloppy kick aimed at EJ hard. But Amara was faster than him. Her hands moved like lightning strikes. She caught his leg, twisted, redirected. Connor flipped like a rag doll, landing flat on his back with a thud that rattled trays everywhere. Silence hung heavy. The cafeteria was no longer laughing at all. It was watching intently now, and for the first time all year long, E.J. Whitmore stood tall, his crutch returned to him by the calm, steady hand of the girl everywhere, thought invisible before. Jason scrambled up from the table, face red hot, eyes wide with disbelief. The cafeteria was frozen in place, every phone camera locked on the one thing they never expected to see. Amara Johnson standing tall, calm, her breath steady, as if she'd simply brushed away a fly bothering her. She hadn't even raised her voice once, hadn't thrown a single punch. Yet Jason lay sprawled out, Connor groaning on the floor beside him in pain. The silence was unbearable now, and then someone whispered low, "Did you see that happen?" Another voice. She didn't even hit them hard. The realization spread through the crowd like fire burning. This wasn't rage at all. This wasn't luck either. This was control perfected. Jason staggered back to his feet, fists trembling hard. He lunged again, wild, desperate to reclaim the crowd watching. But Amara didn't move until the last second possible. Her body shifted like flowing water, redirecting his weight, guiding him past her with nothing more than balance and precision perfect. Jason slammed into the cafeteria wall, the breath leaving his lungs hard. Phones shook harder now, gasps turned into screams loud. "What is that?" someone shouted out. But Amara's expression never changed at all. She wasn't fighting them. She was demonstrating technique. And somewhere deep inside her, another voice echoed clear, her father's. The memory was sharp, as if it lived in her bones themselves. A hot summer afternoon long ago, the dojo smelled of sweat and old wood everywhere. Sunlight cut through the broken blinds, dust floating in golden beams. She was 10 years old then, her fists clenched tight, tears burning in her eyes. "Dad, why can't I just hit them back hard?" she demanded from him. "They push me every day at school. They laugh at me constantly. Why can't I show them I'm strong enough?" Master Anthony Johnson, her father, crew. Ched in front of her. His GI was frayed and worn, his knuckles scarred, but his eyes were calm. He tapped her fists gently until they opened up. "Because, Amara," he said, his voice steady and sure, "strength isn't about proving you can hurt someone badly. Strength is knowing you don't have to ever." She blinked, confused by his words. But what if they don't stop trying? His smile was small, sad, but proud of her. "Then you stand, you move, you protect, but you never start it. You never fight for ego's sake. You fight for one reason only, ever." He lifted her chin up, his gaze locking with hers directly, "to protect the weak around you." Back in the cafeteria now, those words thrummed through her veins strong. Jason staggered toward her again, panting hard, sweat dripping down his forehead. His arrogance was cracking apart, replaced by something unfamiliar now. Fear creeping in. "Stand down, Jason!" someone shouted from the crowd watching. But he didn't listen at all. He swung again, clumsy, desperate now. Amara pivoted smoothly, guided his arm, and with the same gentle redirection her father once showed her years ago, sent him tumbling safely onto the floor below. She didn't smirk, didn't gloat at all. She simply opened her palms and stepped back calmly. Connor tried once more, roaring as if noise alone could intimidate her somehow. He rushed forward fast, but Amara intercepted him, catching his wrist mid-swing perfectly. In one seamless motion quick, she twisted, flipped him, and pinned him with just enough pressure to hold him still. The cafeteria erupted loud, but this time it wasn't laughter at all. It was awe. Phones zoomed closer in. Whispers shot across the room fast. "She's trained professionally." "No, that's martial arts skill. Real martial arts technique. Who even is she really?" Amara stood over Jason and Connor, her breathing steady and calm, her eyes calm. To anyone else watching, it looked like magic happening. To her, it was just discipline learned. She bent down, picked up EJ's crutch, and placed it gentle back in his hands. "Stand tall now," she whispered softly. And for the first time ever, EJ did exactly that. His shoulders straightened up, his eyes lifted high. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was standing strong. The cafeteria wasn't watching a fight anymore, they were witnessing a legacy unfolding. The cafeteria hadn't even caught its breath when the doors burst open wide. Vice Principal Sinclair stormed in fast, heels like gavel strikes against the tile floor. Her sharp eyes locked immediately on Amara standing there. Not Jason slumped against the table still. Not Connor still sprawled on the floor. Amara only. "You two there," she barked out, fingers stabbing the air like a verdict handed down. "Suspended immediately. Effective immediately starting now." The cafeteria gasped collectively. Phones swung toward her now. "What? That's not fair at all." They didn't start at first. But Mrs. Sinclair didn't flinch at all. "I saw enough already. Violence is unacceptable here, no matter the excuse given." Jason smirked weakly from the floor, wiping juice off his shirt slowly. For a second, he thought he'd gotten away with it completely, until Jasmine stepped forward boldly. She was a junior student, her phone still raised high up. Her voice shook but carried across the room loud. "No, ma'am, please listen. You didn't see enough because I recorded everything that happened." Gasps shot across the crowd instantly. All eyes swung to the glowing screen and her hand raised. Jason's smirk cracked apart. Connor shifted uncomfortably now. Jasmine walked straight to the smartboard on the cafeteria wall. With a tap, her video lit up the screen bright. Jason's shove first, EJ stumbling, Connor's kick coming, Amara moving, calm and precise, never striking first at all. The room was silent except for the sounds from the video playing. Jason's laughter, Connor's taunts, the cafeteria chanting, "Hey, fight, fight, fight," before both bullies hit the floor by their own momentum carrying. Mrs. Sinclair's face flushed crimson red. That doesn't excuse anything. It shows the truth clearly," Amara said quietly, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. "We didn't fight for ego. We didn't throw the first punch at all. We only stood when we had to do it." The cafeteria erupted loud. Cheers, claps, even a few tears from kids who knew too well what it felt like to be cornered like that. "Justice served," someone shouted out. "Play it again now," another yelled loudly. Phones turned, now recording Mrs. Sinclair herself standing there. She straightened up, but her authority was crumbling under the weight of proof and witnesses watching. Jason tried to rise again, his pride desperate for one last gasp of air. "This isn't over yet," he growled, pointing at Amara threateningly. But EJ, standing tall with his crutch steady now, finally spoke up clearly. His voice trembled at first, then grew strong and clear. "Yes, it is over." The room froze completely still. EJ had never stood up, never spoken back, not like this before. His words landed heavier than any punch could ever land. The chant swelled again loud, this time not for a fight, but for truth standing. Justice, justice, justice. Amara didn't gloat at all. She didn't even smile once. She just placed a steady hand on EJ's shoulder and whispered the same words she had minutes earlier. "Stand tall now." And he did just that. For the first time ever, Crestwood's cafeteria wasn't ruled by arrogance or cruelty anymore. It was ruled by discipline, by truth, by two kids who refused to break down. By nightfall later, the fight wasn't just Crestwood's secret anymore at all. The clip hit Instagram first fast. A shaky 40-second video with the caption reading, "Charity girl just folded the school bullies completely. Discipline beats arrogance every time." Within an hour flat, TikTok had turned it into edits everywhere. Slow motion of Jason's fist slicing air perfectly. Dramatic music studio. Elling as Amara pivoted and sent him crashing into the table hard. Comments flooded in fast. "Bro, she's a weapon completely. Notice how she never swung first ever. That's discipline right there. Girl just humbled Crestwood's golden boys in 10 seconds flat. Amazing." By midnight, it had spilled onto Twitter feeds, hashtags trending lists everywhere, hashtag stand tall strong, hashtag Amara Johnson hero, hashtag discipline over arrogance always. Even local news anchors couldn't ignore it now. The 6 o'clock segment replayed the cafeteria footage side by side with an old photo unearthed by someone online searching. A younger Amara bowing in a cracked dojo old. Her father, Master Anthony Johnson, standing tall behind her protectively. "Tonight," the anchor announced clearly, "a scholarship student defended a classmate against bullies at Crestwood Academy bravely, but the world is now learning she's not just any student at all. She's the daughter of a man many in Detroit remember fondly, a martial arts instructor who taught kids discipline, confidence, and respect always. That legacy lives on in her still." The camera cut back to the clip playing. Amara returning EJ's crutch, whispering, "Stand tall now." Millions replayed that line over. Millions quoted it everywhere. For kids who'd been mocked before, for parents who'd prayed their children would find courage someday. It was more than just a cafeteria fight now. It was a lesson taught. But the biggest shift wasn't online at all. It was in a penthouse suite overlooking the city skyline view. Richard Whitmore stared at a phone he usually treated like a weapon of business. He was halfway through a merger email when the notification slid across the screen suddenly. Billionaire's son targeted by bullies. Watch who stands up for him bravely. He almost ignored it completely. Then he saw the freeze frame still. EJ's crutch in the AI are like a trophy held. Play button pressed. The cafeteria poured out of the screen reel. The shove, the tray, the chant echoing. He saw the way EJ's shoulders curled in tight, a posture Richard recognized and hated because he'd seen it for months now, and told himself it would pass eventually. Then a girl stepped into frame, calm. The room moved like a tide around her and somehow stilled completely. Richard leaned forward without realizing it, thumb hovering over the screen frozen. She didn't swing at all. She redirected perfectly. The boys toppled over their own momentum while she kept EJ on his feet steady. When she placed the crutch back in his hand gently, Richard heard a voice he hadn't remembered in years clearly. "Clara, the stars don't care how fast you walk. EJ, my love, they shine for you anyway always. Play again, slower this time." He watched EJ rise up, watched his son say, "Yes, it is over," with a steadiness that didn't belong to fear anymore. The room in the video roared loud. The one in the penthouse went silent completely. He searched the comments, the captions, the tags everywhere. A name surfaced over and over again. Amara Johnson clearly. Another photo surfaced online. A cracked floor dojo old. A man in a worn G smiling beside a much younger Amara happily. Master Anthony Johnson remembered. Obituary links found. Community posts everywhere. Words like discipline, respect, protect the weak, always. Richard set the phone down, face up on the table, and for once, didn't reach for the next email waiting. He reached for memory instead, the missed recital forgotten, the rescheduled therapy appointments, the nights he told himself he was providing while EJ learned to be small and quiet. He picked the phone back up and typed words, then deleted, then typed again carefully. He remembered the night EJ asked why stars shine brighter than he ever could himself, and Richard hadn't known what to say to EJ then. "Proud of you, son. I'm here now, on my way home." He hit send button. Then another text, this time to his assistant working. "Cancel the 3 p.m. meeting, reschedule the board completely. I'm going to Crestwood now." The driver met him at the curb waiting. The car cut through late-day traffic fast. Richard watched the clip a third time with the sound off this time. Without audio, what remained was posture only. A girl who chose control over spectacle showing. A boy who chose to stand tall. At a red light stop, he opened a blank note and wrote a single line down. "Ask, don't assume anything." Then beneath it carefully, "Support what already exists there." He didn't plan a press conference or a donation with his name in stone forever. He planned to listen to EJ first carefully, then to the girl who had given his son a moment no fortune could buy ever. When the car stopped outside the school gates, Richard tucked the phone away finally. For once, he didn't lead with power or money. He led with presence instead. The next morning early, Crestwood Academy's cafeteria wasn't a lunchroom at all. It was a courtroom now, a reckoning coming. Jason Miller and Connor Hale shuffled in with shoulders hunched low, their swagger gone completely. Their parents trailed behind them, polished in pearls and suits expensive, their faces pale with the kind of humiliation money couldn't hide from anyone. Phones shot up instantly everywhere. Every student knew history was about to unfold right now. At the front stood Principal Harrington, stiff in his pressed suit crisp, papers trembling in his hand, shaking. He cleared his throat loud. "Yesterday's incident has received widespread attention everywhere." The understatement drew a ripple of laughter out. Even teachers hiding in the back couldn't suppress smirks at all. "Video evidence found," Harrington continued firmly, "has made the truth clear now. The altercation was not initiated by Amara Johnson or Elijah Whitmore at all. They acted in defense, with restraint shown." The words landed heavy down. A wave of claps broke out, quickly swelling into thunder rolling. Jason's face flushed red-hot. Connor shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting at the phones recording his shame forever. "Jason here. Connor there." Harrington turned, his voice flat and firm. "Your families have insisted you take responsibility now." Jason's father gave him a firm shove forward hard. Jason swallowed hard, his voice cracking up. I'm sorry, truly." He glanced at EJ, then Amara standing. "We shouldn't have mocked you at all. We shouldn't have pushed you down. You didn't deserve that treatment." Connor followed, jaw clenched tight. We embarrassed ourselves completely, and our families too. Gasps rippled out, not at the apology itself, but at how small their voices sounded compared to the laughter they'd once commanded over everyone. But Amara didn't nod at all. She didn't smile either. She rose from her seat, calm, steady, her presence sharper than any fist could be. "Don't just apologize to us here," she said evenly and clear. "Apologize to everyone you've mocked before, everyone you made small inside, because we weren't your first targets ever, just your last ones." The cafeteria froze completely, her words cut deeper than any throw, any flip could. Jason's lips trembled visibly. Connor looked away quickly, but then Jason turned around, his voice louder this time out. "We're sorry, everyone, to everyone here." Connor nodded, forcing the words out hard. "We were wrong completely." The cafeteria erupted loud. Cheers, applause, stomping feet shaking the polished floor hard. The balance of power had shifted permanently now. In a penthouse high above the skyline far, Richard Whitmore sat on the couch beside his son Close. For once, no emails, no contracts, just silence pure, broken only by the sound of EJ laughing softly at a clip of himself standing tall proud. Richard's voice cracked up. "Your mother always said someone would help you stand tall someday. I think we just maul at her now." EJ looked at him, smiling faintly back. "No, Dad, listen. She didn't just help me stand up. She helped you too, Dad." For the first time in years long, Richard reached over and wrapped his arm around his son tight. No words spoken, just presence felt. And in that moment right there, wealth and privilege felt smaller than two things money couldn't buy ever. Courage and connection real. They mocked a boy for his limp walking. They sneered at a girl for being quiet always. They thought wealth and cruelty ruled the room completely. But when fists flew hard, it wasn't strength that silenced the crowd watching. It was discipline shown. Amara Johnson didn't need designer clothes expensive, money, or loud words spoken. She carried her father's code and gave EJ back his voice strong. Together, they showed Crestwood Academy that courage doesn't always roar loud. Sometimes it simply stands and refuses to fall down. And in a cafeteria built on privilege entirely, two kids no one believed in taught everyone the loudest lesson ever. The calmest move can shake the loudest room hard. This isn't just about EJ or Amara alone. It's about every kid who walks the halls feeling invisible completely. Every parent who wonders if their lessons still matter anymore. Every bully who thinks silence is weakness shown because silence isn't weakness ever. Sometimes silence is exactly what ends them completely. This is Black Stories, where the underestimated rise up and arrogance collapses under its own weight, heavy. If this story moved you deeply, like this video and share it widely. Share it for every child who's been mocked before, for every parent who's prayed their child would find courage someday, for every voice that's been ignored until it finally stood tall, strong. And subscribe for more stories like this one, because bullies only win when courage stays quiet always, and courage only wins when we refuse to look away.